What's up, guys? Welcome back. Glad you're here. On today's episode, we're going to be going to outer space to look at a new deck of cards. That's right. Which one is it? Well, there's really two, but we're looking at one today, and that's going to be the new 7th edition Orbits. That's right, by Chris Orbit Brown. So, Houston, prepare for liftoff. We're going there. Let's go. The 7th edition of the Orbit playing cards by Chris Orbit Brown is back with a nice minimalistic yet intricate kind of look. The V7 features a pink dominant center along with the mountain range from the V5 orbits that are now inverted, so they are a window of what's behind the card rather than the original mountains themselves. This time, the deck sports a really cool 80s theme, and it's definitely out of this world. The matte style tuck box features the word Orbit in white there across the front within that cigar band there in the center. It's going to have the Orbit logo there, which is the circle with the person there in the center. You're going to also have a thicker white border go all the way around the front of the box, which is also going to be accompanied by a real super thin bluish type of border also. You're going to have a shutter style kind of set of colors there above the circle, which is going to range from purples and pink different hues. The bottom is going to feature some kind of neon line work that's also reminiscent of the movie Tron. The left side of the tuck box is going to feature some ad copy distributed by the orbitbrown.com, the California address, and illustrated by Daniel Snyder. The right side of the tuck is going to say 7th edition in white lettering. The bottom of the tuck box features the Orbit logo. That's right, but this time around there's a couple different subtleties. That's right, the first of which is you're going to see the DeLorean. That's right, kind of paying homage to Back to the Future. Chris likes to switch it up every now and then, just like the V6s where you've seen the UFO. Also, you're going to see some rainbow colors there in the center of the logo, and this is for a good reason. That's right. This rainbow is to directly pay tribute to the lives lost in the 86 Space Shuttle Challenger launch mission STS-51-L. The last names of the crew members can be found on the inside of the tuck box, which we'll get into shortly, because the space exploration people should never be forgotten. Actually, after this tragedy, NASA actually halted missions for 2 years afterwards, and then when they came back, the mission patches had been a rainbow in the center to signify the lives lost. The back of the tuck box is the back design of the deck itself, and we'll get into that momentarily as well. The top of the tuck box features the number 23 in this really cool alarm clock type style font. 23, you wonder, why? Well, usually a lot of times, besides this being Chris's significant number and why he's attached to it, usually he prints 23,000 decks also. But like I said, this is significant to Chris in many ways. Just to name a few, the letters in Chris's name add up to 23. His parents found out he was going to be a boy on October 23rd, 1985, which, you got it, 1985. Add all those up and it equals 23. It takes 23 seconds for blood to circulate through the human body. There's 23 discs in the human spine. The number of joints in the human arm is 23, so on and so forth. So now you can see why that number is very fascinating. The top of the tuck box also features this really cool kind of tuxedo. If you can see there, it's going to kind of feature that purplish background. It's going to have that glowing neon pink style logo there, and it's going to look like what has the edge line of the mountain range there at the bottom. On the inner part of the main flap, as always, you're going to see the famous saying. That's right, the deeper you gaze into the cosmos, the harder it is to look back. You're going to see a really cool kind of solar system there, the stars and the night sky, and of course, persist and endure. On the inner part of the tuck flap itself, you're going to see hashtag the orbit deck at the orbit deck for Instagram. On the left flap, you're going to see the cool 3D glasses that were really relevant back in the 80s, which I can definitely get behind because I am an 80s baby myself. On the right, you're going to see that cool kind of satellite as well. On the inner part of the tuck box, you're going to see at the very bottom, it's going to say we are orbit, and you're going to see a orange spaceship, which is what I'm guessing as a nod to what the next color of the orbits are. You're also going to see stars for each of the lives that were lost. You're going to see the 7 names that go along the edge line on the inner part of the tuck. And that's it for the tuck. The back design on this deck features that same mountain range that we've seen on the V5s. This time around, instead of the mountain range as a whole, it's inverted to kind of show you what belongs behind the mountain range, which happens to be a beautiful night sky. That's right, upon closer inspection, you're going to see that, well, the stars might be trying to tell us something. That's right, this is a marked deck. That's right, a reader back marked deck. What do I mean by reader back style? That's right, it basically spells it out for you. So look for the stars and it'll tell you what it's saying. Also, you're going to have this nice minimalistic, minimal white poker border that goes around the edge line, once again accompanied by this pencil thin blue border on the inner side of that. You're going to have those same kind of Tron type of neon grid lines that go along the sides, fronts, backs, every bit of it that just make it pop during every flourish. And that's it for the back. This deck does come printed by the United States Playing Card Company on their webbed press. That's right. They do have the sheet-fed press, and then they have the big boy web press, which is only used when printing 20,000 or more. That's right. And it just so happens that Chris printed 20,000 of these beauties, unlike the usual 23,000. This deck is printed on a premium crushed stock. That's right, it does have a traditional cut and an air cushion emboss. It has a one-way back design, just like all of them, wink wink, and this deck is just beautiful. Alright, so with this deck, you're going to receive some extras as always. That's right, you're going to have this double backer. That's right, double backers are the coolest cards because you can do some really cool effects. That's right, it's going to have the back design on both the front and back sides of the card. The next card you're going to receive is also amazing because, hey, it's a duplicate. You can never go wrong. Duplicates are cool to have for a lot of different magic effects and things. The last 2 cards you're going to receive are your jokers. That's right. In typical orbit fashion, you're going to have the iconic jokers. That's right. It's going to say Joker real big there at the top. And these pay homage to the, rider back bicycle jokers that we see in the typical bicycle decks. With the person on the bicycle and whatnot. And this is kind of their rendition, kind of paying, respects to that. And it's going to say, like I said, Joker there at the top. It's going to have the astronaut, which is Chris, on the bicycle. It's going to have Dexter, his dog, there in the back riding shotgun. And then he's going to have a little flag there. And also kind of paying homage to, 80s films and whatnot. Like I said, once again, with that Back to the Future type of thing. If you look on the feet there of the astronaut, he's wearing those awesome Nike Air Mags. That's right. If you're not familiar with the Air Mags, you might want to Google them because you're missing out. That's right. And then last but not least, there on the right by the rock there, it's going to have the number 23 once again. Like I said, it's significant to Chris, and it's going to have Daniel Snyder's signature on the right. The pips and indices in this deck are far from your standard, well, kind of. That's right, this is a vintage style, no longer seen Arco package that used to be offered on the old Cincinnati plant decks. That's right, so much so that USPCC didn't even have this package in their archives. That's right, so luckily Chris was gifted a deck that was given to him by Nick Stumphauser, who actually found it in his grandparents' basement or attic. They actually scanned it, and yeah, Daniel Snyder put it into place, and that's what you see now. Compared to the Arcos that nowadays, at least the modern styles, the pips on these are the indices are a little bit more thinner. As you can see, they're real thin compared, and also the pips are more expanded, giving it a really cool, significant look. Also, as you can see there, the blacks are kind of a lighter type of black, but pretty much true to the clubs and spades that we know. But when you get over to the diamonds and hearts, it goes along with the same theme of those kind of neon colors and the pinks and purples, because the hearts and diamonds are now pink. Alright, the courts in this deck are that same Arco style from the older times. Like I said, still going to have those pink hues in the diamonds and hearts. And you're going to have some newer faces within this deck. That's right. The King of Spades, which is Chris's mentor from the Magic Garage back when he started in Magic when he was younger, John Bodine. That's right, he's a legend. The King of Hearts, as always, is Chris's father. The King of Clubs is his childhood best friend's father, which is Big Matt, or Matt. The Queen of Clubs is his wife, Nancy. The Queen of Diamonds is Chris's wife, Holly. The Jack of Clubs, as always, is Nick Stumphauser. The Jack of Hearts is Sean O. As you can see, he has Sean O. there across his chest in these straps, and he's going to have a reveal in his feather. And then the Jack of Spades is going to be Daniel Snyder. And then last but not least, the Jack of Diamonds is Chris himself. The aces in this deck are also that same Arco classic style until we get over to the exciting Ace of Spades. That's right, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the Orbit decks. Besides the Jokers, these are basically collectible almost at this point. I mean, really, they're all different and they're just awesome. I really like the attention to details that they all really come together and put into these. So you're going to have the enlarged spade pip there in the center, and on the inner parts of it, it's going to look like it's Chris and Dexter kind of looking on, standing on what looks to be maybe like Mars or something on some kind of planet or the moon, and they're looking off, and it looks like Saturn there with the ring around it that they're looking at. It's going to say persist and endure, the Orbit deck, the orbitbrown.com, and the number 23 once again at the bottom. That's everything I can say about this deck, so please join me for my final thoughts on everything. Alright, so you want to know what I think about this deck. 5 out of 5. Hands down, 5 out of 5. No getting around it. We've been waiting for many years, at least I have, for a marked Orbit deck in this series, and we finally got it. It's amazing. It's genius at that. I mean, come on now. No matter what, one thing that I can't say is that Daniel is not a genius. Daniel Snyder continues to push the boundaries and push this brand. And I'm not saying that the rest of the Orbit crew, Nick, Sean, Chris himself, that they don't have nothing to do with this. This is all a group effort. But when it comes to Daniel's stylized ways of doing things, man, He hits the hammer on the head every single time. And he's a perfectionist, as is Chris. I mean, if you guys don't know, Chris does this full time. So he quit his job to do everything Orbit on a daily basis. He's his own boss. You know, it's because he believes in this brand wholeheartedly, to where he said, you know what, I'm all in. And that's definitely something I can appreciate. So yeah, so every time they do this and drop a deck of cards, you know it's going to be worth it every single time. They don't just put junk out there. They don't just force a release. They don't just, you know, hurry up and get it out because they want to. No, they do it on their terms, but it's epic every single time. This past Orbit Jam is just phenomenal. I mean, it gets better every year. That's all I can say. So if you're not already following Chris and the rest of the Orbit crew, and you're not following anything that they've been doing for the past however many years, you're losing out, because I'm telling you what, it's literally like a movie. So yeah, go check them out. So I'll leave everything linked below where you guys can go ahead and check these decks out. Like I said, there was a lot made, but if you know the Orbit brand, you already know they're not going to be lasting long at all. So yeah, I'll leave all that down below so you guys can go ahead and check them out. So that's all I can say about this deck. If you enjoyed this review as much as I enjoyed doing it, please smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you beautiful people on the next one.